There's a sound I used to associate with a productive Saturday. That high-pitched scream of a pressure washer, 4 hours of it, me soaked to the knees, walking backward across my own driveway in slow stripes. And here's the humiliating part. When I finally shut it off and stepped back, the concrete was wet, and wet concrete always looks great. 2 days later it dried, and the same dark blotches were staring back at me like I'd never touched them. I did that every spring for 5 years before a $2 box of powder made the entire ritual obsolete. The reason that machine kept losing has nothing to do with power. It's a misunderstanding of where the dirt actually is. Concrete looks like solid stone, but structurally it's closer to a hard sponge, laced with microscopic pores running down into the material. Years of oil mist, mildew, algae, pollen, and airborne grime don't sit politely on top. They soak down into those channels and settle below the surface where nothing mechanical can follow. A pressure washer sprays a thin layer of water at enormous force, which is spectacular at removing whatever is loose on the very top, and nearly useless against staining that lives 1/8 of an inch down. You blast the lid while the mess sits inside the jar. That's the whole reason a cheap powder outperforms a machine that costs hundreds. The powder is sodium percarbonate, which you probably already have a version of in your laundry room. It's the oxygen bleach people toss in with their whites. When it dissolves in warm water, it splits into washing soda and hydrogen peroxide, and that peroxide releases active oxygen. Instead of hitting the concrete from outside, those oxygen molecules travel into the pores, find the organic staining buried in there, and attack the chemical bonds holding it in place. That's the distinction that changes everything. Pressure removes dirt by force. Oxygen removes it by dissolving the glue. Mildew, algae, leaf tannins, food residue, the general gray film that accumulates over a decade. Once those bonds break, the discoloration lifts up and out of the material on its own. You're not stripping the surface. You're pulling the dirt back out of the sponge, which is exactly what the machine was never physically able to do. Now here's the part that stings a little. That same sodium percarbonate gets bottled as premium oxygenated concrete cleaner at hardware stores for $25. In the laundry aisle, the identical compound runs about $2. Same molecule, same active oxygen, same result on your concrete. The only difference is the label and a markup built on you never making the connection. Your driveway has no opinion about packaging. It only responds to chemistry. But before we keep going, I need to tell you something real quick. My wife bet me nobody would watch a guy talk about cleaning concrete for 10 minutes. So, if this is helping you at all, hit that subscribe button and help me prove her wrong. I already lose every argument in this house. Let me win this one. Understanding how this actually works also explains why some people try oxygen powder, see mediocre results, and conclude it's overhyped. 3 things are happening beneath the surface, and each one decides the outcome. The first is water temperature. Cold water barely wakes the powder up, leaving most of its cleaning potential locked inside the granules. Warm water triggers a fast, strong oxygen release. When the mixture goes slightly cloudy as it dissolves, that haze is the reaction igniting. Almost everyone who says oxygen cleaners are weak mixed them cold and quietly capped their own results before the solution ever touched the concrete. Heat is the ignition switch, and it costs nothing to get right. The second is how thirsty the concrete is when you start. Dry slabs drink the solution unevenly, pulling it into parched patches before the oxygen can reach the buried stains. Concrete that's been dampened first lets the mixture glide across the surface and sink into every pore evenly. That's why the result on a wet slab looks uniform and new, while the same product on bone-dry concrete comes out streaky and disappointing, The moisture is what carries the reaction where it needs to go. The third factor, and the one that matters most, is time. Active oxygen isn't instant. It has to migrate down into the material, locate the stain molecules trapped in the pores, and sever the bonds anchoring them there. That process takes roughly 15 to 20 minutes of the surface staying wet and working. This is the exact opposite of the pressure washer mentality, where progress is loud and immediate. Here, nothing appears to be happening while everything is happening. The single rule is that the solution can't dry out. On a hot day, a light misting keeps it alive because dried solution stops reacting entirely. Then comes the satisfying part. Once the oxygen has done its job, the loosened grime floats up out of the pores, and you can watch the water turn brown and gray as years of embedded filth rises to the surface. From there, a regular garden hose finishes the whole thing because the stain is already dissolved and floating free. That's the moment you realize the pressure washer was never necessary. And there's a real argument that it was actively harmful. 3,000 pounds per square inch etches and scars concrete, carving open even more pores for future stains to settle into, which is why aggressively washed driveways tend to get dirty faster each year. Gentle rinsing preserves the surface instead of degrading it. A word on safety, because it matters. Sodium percarbonate is far gentler than acid or chlorine bleach, but active oxygen can still stress a lawn, so it stays off the grass, and it's never mixed with other cleaning chemicals. On its own in water, it breaks down into oxygen, soda ash, and plain water, all completely harmless. Let me be fair here. Pressure washers aren't useless. For blasting mud off a truck, clearing loose debris, or a fast surface refresh before company arrives, they're genuinely good tools. What I'm telling you is that they're the wrong tool for embedded staining. And embedded staining is what makes a driveway look old. Force can't reach where the problem lives. Chemistry can. The comparison is hard to ignore. A decent pressure washer runs $300 to $500, rentals run $80 a day, and a professional service runs hundreds more. This powder costs about $2, takes 20 minutes of mostly waiting, and reaches stains all of those methods leave behind. Your concrete doesn't care how loud your Saturday was. It only cares what's dissolving the dirt inside it. So there it is, the $2 powder that quietly retires your pressure washer. If this saved you a weekend or opened your eyes, do me one favor. Hit subscribe, because I break down a new budget home trick every single week, and the next one might save you even more.